Hi fabulous people, I'm Yvonne Sims, and I have the honor of having with me today Shinica Thomas, who is my sister, cousin. You know, I'm just blessed to have her in my life. One of the things that you and I do often is she's one of my prayer warriors, and she's the person that I go to. You know, really I have 3 inner circle people, and you are one of those 3 people that when I need to bounce things off or process things or need advice or prayer, you're the person I count on.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And that's an honor, right? That's an honor to be family, but to also have the kind of relationship that we have, because lots of families don't have that close relationship where you can pray together and kind of bounce things off of each other. So yeah, we're fortunate to have that.
Absolutely. And some of you have that in other women in your life, and you know, God has strategically placed people in your life. And Shinica and I are both faith women, women of faith. We have jumped many times.
Oh yeah, right off the ledge. Yep. But I think one of the things about being women of faith, though, is that even though we don't usually jump off the ledge at the same time, right? No. That's not happen. That doesn't happen often. Usually it's that you'll call me and say, I'm thinking about doing something, and I'm just like, okay, well, I mean, that sounds awesome. That sounds great. And I'll encourage you to do it. And I'll tell you if I have hesitation. But most of the time, honestly, in our relationship, I try to be the one I'm just going to be your champion. If you're going to do it and it makes you happy and it's feasible and viable, then girl, do it. Yeah. You feel like God led you to do it, do it. I'm going to champion you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to be behind you.
Right. And you know, the thing is that when you are a person of faith, or you're going to make a really big faith move, it's really vital to have somebody like a Shinica in your court to help, like she said, encourage and support you.
Well, you know, one of the things that I found too, I do agree that it's important to have people to support you, especially because I was reading an article today that one of my other girlfriends sent to me, and it was talking about how oftentimes as women, we feel like we missed it. Right? As we get older, or as things happen in our lives, we feel like we missed it. Like we had these dreams, or we had this desire to do something, and what happened? Like, you know, gosh, I turned 30 and, you know, I had kids and I got married and, you know, I lost my job, or, you know, whatever it is, you didn't get to do. And often as we get older, it seems as though our faith lessons, right?
It can, but that's why it's important to have people in your corner to remind you of where God brought you from, to remind you that where you are in this moment, the growth that you made, the maturity that's happened in your life, you know, you've made tremendous strides, and that is faith.
Right. And but that's the thing, is that having someone there to encourage you of that. Right? Because you don't always feel like it's your time and it's your season. And to contrary, you know, on the contrary of that, there are times that you do feel like it's your season. It's happening for me right now. I mean, like really, it's the beginning of a new year, right? So it's January, it's 2018. We're going to do some stuff this year, and people get all excited. They do their vision boards and they write down all these things they want to do, and they're just bursting at the seams to tell somebody else.
Right.
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I can't wait to tell you about this book I'm going to write, and this book is going to be like this, and I'm going to start this training, and I'm going to start this business, and you just want to put it all out there, right? Like you just want to spread it across this table and show everybody.
You're excited, but the thing is,
pause, comma.
Yeah, exactly. But, and this is really important, beloved, that you get this, is that yes, we are encouraging you to make sure that you have that iron that sharpens iron. But it's also important to make sure that when you are operating in faith, that you know who you can trust.
Absolutely.
And who has the skill set to help you in that given moment, to help you bring that vision to fruition.
That's right. I think one of the great things about our relationship is that we are both so resourceful. We are so resourceful. And so, I mean, and I don't say that in a boasting way, but over the years, we have really grown our individual network so that we know lots of different people who know lots of different people and who know lots of different things and have different skill sets. And so when someone comes to either of us and says, hey, I've got this idea, I want to work on this project, do you know someone? Chances are we do. We just do.
And the nice thing about when I go to Shinica, I'm not always expecting her to have the answer. But one thing that is really valuable to me is that Shinica is really good about saying, and sometimes we're just texting, and I recently had some legal issue, and I was like, I'm buying this house and this happened, and she was like, I've got a realtor, let me call them. Hold on, let me call them. And that was just invaluable to me, because you don't always have to have the answers within the two of you all, but you have the resources to tap into to ask the questions and help your friend in that faith move. It's also important to make sure that there are just certain people who, when you're making faith moves, they can't come with you. They shouldn't know what you're doing because they're just not there. They don't have the skill set. They don't have the knowledge. They don't even have maybe the faith that you have.
Well, one of the things, so when you said that, that just made me think, so my husband and I talk often about doing things at a certain level, right? So doing things maybe in excellence, let's say. And your definition of excellence and my definition of excellence and your definition of excellence are all very different. And so if I'm doing something and I'm working on a project and my expectation is excellence, that's my definition of excellence. And there are people who have not experienced enough and who haven't been exposed to enough to understand why I want it a certain way and why that is my definition of excellence. Their definition of excellence is what they've been exposed to and what they've experienced. And so I think, like you said, the people who can't go with you, those are the people who may not have the same kind of exposure to things that you've had. And so they won't be able to work on the same level that you can work on or that you want this project to be on.
And you have to be careful with faith, because, you know, in the beginning, faith is not the actual manifestation. It's a belief that you're going to take on something that's bigger than you, that requires God. It requires God. And having the right people are important, but also making sure that you keep the wrong people away. You know, like as an example, when I was getting ready to buy my house, when I literally was like a week before I bought my house, no one knew. You knew, one other person knew, my children knew, but like no one else knew I was doing this, because like the concept that a single woman is going to buy a 5-bedroom house, 3 baths, big, I mean, mortgage, the whole works. For some people, that's like, they can't process that. But I remember right before I was due to close on my house, that's when I decided to call my family and let them in. I'm buying a house. And one of my family members, I to this day, I can't forget it. I said, well, guess what? I'm closing on a house at the end of the week. And they said, you're buying a house? And I said, yes, I'm buying a house. And their response was, can you afford that?
Wow.
Why would you take on a mortgage?
Wow.
And I was like, well, do you know what I pay now?
And,
and you know what well, what happens if this and what happens if that? And I said, what happens if God just continues to bless and prosper me? What happens if I just manage my money? What happens if I just step out on faith, but I know that I've got the job to support it? But if I had have shared the vision, I believe earlier with with that same family member, I might have been discouraged. I might have maybe had reservations about whether I should do this as opposed to following God.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. I mean, and now, granted, I think that there are times when we want to do things, or we feel like God is leading us to do things, and we didn't really hear from God. Really, like we didn't. That's my flesh. Like I want to do that thing, right? And so it is nice also to have that person that's going to say, did you really think about that? You ain't thought that through. You ain't thought that. I'm going to need you to sleep on that. I'm going to need you to take some time. Don't rush out and do that. You know, but you also have to know the person's personality, right? Because I mean, sometimes you got to take me with you, to hold my hand and drag me off that cliff, because you will jump off a cliff in a minute.
I will, but that's why you in my life is so important, because if I run it by you and you're like, whoa, then that tells me I need to slow down. It tells me I need to really make sure I do due diligence. And if I can't come back to you with the questions that you asked and I'm not prepared, then I need to just, you know, take more time to really seek God and get an understanding and make sure I've got the plan. So when I bought my house, it wasn't based on, you know, a whim. I remember saying to that person, I said, you do realize that the mortgage company wasn't going to approve me if I didn't have the finances.
Exactly.
You know, but you know, it's incredible to walk in faith, and it's an incredible blessing to have someone who God has given you to stand side by side. I think it's essential, but it's also important, beloved, to recognize, you know, who in that moment may not be the best person suited to help you bring that level of faith to actual fruition.
That's right. That's right. But that's why, you know, just knowing someone and trusting them, and, you know, trusting them with your hopes and your dreams. But it's getting to know them, knowing their personality, knowing that they have your best interest and that they want what God wants for you. And they want to see you be successful. They want to see you move forward. They want to see your life elevated. They want to see you blessed. And they're not jealous and they're not envious. You know, I think that there have been times that we've been like, man, that's so awesome. When is my time coming? And that's something completely different. We'll talk about that another day. We'll talk about that another day.
Next time, buddy. Next time, beloved. Well, until next time, beloved, be strong and courageous.